What's up, you guys? It's Graham here. So let me just start off by saying this. I've been watching the show Shark Tank back when it first came out in 2009. Now, for anyone who's not aware what the show is, it's basically where entrepreneurs can pitch their ideas to a group of investors known as sharks. And then we get to be a fly on the wall to look into some really bad business ideas, some really genius inventions, and the investor, Kevin O'Leary, always asking for an overly ambitious royalty deal that sends people into tears. Anyway, I've been a big fan of the show, and I found it insanely inspirational to see and hear about other people's businesses, see how it works behind the scenes, and hear the investors' criticism that people always think their business is worth way more than it actually is. And in the back of my mind, I always really looked up to the sharks on the show. To me, they were really like the pinnacle of success and what you could achieve with a good idea and hard work. So when I found out that Kevin O'Leary was going to be reacting to my episode of Millennial Money, I knew I had to react to Kevin O'Leary reacting to me. Because no joke, he's someone I absolutely look up to, and on the show, he's kind of known for being that blunt, mean guy, kind of like the Simon Cowell of business, so I knew this is going to be a really interesting episode. Not to mention, and he's never going to remember this, but 6 years ago, I ran into him at LAX airport, and I walked up to him, and I gathered up the courage to ask him for a selfie, and he was nice enough to say yes. And here's that picture taken all the way back in 2014. So now that he's watched my video, I want to respond to him and address a few of the comments he made about me. So go ahead, get ready for some good old-fashioned finance YouTuber drama beginning right now.
Hi there, Mr. Wonderful here, aka Kevin O'Leary, and today I'm going to have a look at a video I've never watched called Millennial Money, living on $1.6 million a year in Los Angeles.
See, immediately right off the bat, he forgot to say, wait for it, millennial money. You always need that wait for it in there, and for that reason, I'm out. Just kidding, I've always wanted to say that, and I finally said that.
Before you start, smash the like button like I'm doing here. That helps the algorithm.
Actually, Kevin, the new thing is to ask people to destroy and obliterate the like button. The truth is, the like button built up an immunity from so many times of being repeatedly smashed that now it just takes a little bit more work to make it turn blue. And that's why now we have to practically destroy our phone and computer screens to hit the like button. And only then, once it turns blue, may we proceed with the video. So I'm a full-time real estate agent, real estate investor, and YouTuber.
You know, I just started watching, I thought this guy's going to be a dick. But now as I'm just seeing the first few frames, sounds like he's for real.
You know what, to be honest, I totally understand that. I think it's very easy for people to see a few of my absolutely ridiculous thumbnail pictures that look as though I've experienced a root canal or in the middle of suffering from a migraine, combined with over-the-top titles with the word millionaire written in them with my monthly income plastered in big bold font. And it's really easy for people to miscategorize me, rightfully so. However, in my defense, I really try to back up the type of content that I make in such a way that's educational, informational, and helpful. And the reality is that many times, in order to stand out or incentivize people to click on the video to begin with, you need to go to such extremes, and I try to cater my content around what people want to see more of. So I'm totally okay being a little bit shocking for people who only see a title and a thumbnail, as long as that means they actually click on the video, enjoy it, and then stick around for the long run. My mortgage is just over $2,800 a month. The market value of the other unit next to me is about $2,500 a month. Then between the equity I get and the tax write-offs from using the garage as my office, it basically works out to be a free place for me to live.
Okay, that's pretty shrewd. This guy knows what he's doing. He's basically bought 2 properties and he's using the tax code fairly and legally to try and live in his place for free because he's profiting off the amount he's getting on rent after he services the mortgage. Good idea.
You know what's funny? Quickly off topic here, but I have a feeling he's only wearing a suit top, and then down below he's probably wearing shorts and flip-flops. How do I know this? Well, the other week he posted a video about his morning routine, and you know what? I'll have you watch this.
Yeah, I got short pants on and a suit top. Why? Because I'm about to broadcast to a network. They're not going to see that I'm wearing flip-flops.
You know what though? It's totally okay. I do the same thing. I've worn the same pair of sweatpants for like a week now. Here's proof. That's just what happens when you work from home and don't leave the house and have insanely comfy sweatpants. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, the markup of coffee at Starbucks and Coffee Bean and a lot of those places out there, so I just make it at home for 20 cents.
I love this guy. This is exactly what I'm talking about. He's not an idiot. He knows exactly what he's spending his money on. He's got it graphed out. He's very, very conscious of not wasting a single cent. Nothing wrong with that. That's very smart. Coffee is a big money waster. You get really hosed when you buy it.
See, that's been my philosophy for as long as I could remember, and here's the thing. The truth is, going and buying Starbucks every now and then is not going to make you go broke. But what I have noticed is that overwhelmingly, when you don't budget or pay attention to your spending in one area, it tends to spill over into everything else as well. If you don't pay attention to all the times you go and buy a Starbucks, you're going to be less likely to pay attention to getting a good deal on your rent. You're going to be less likely to pay attention to negotiating your insurance cost or trying to maximize the value of a dollar. I truly believe that if you're prudent and you track the small day-to-day expenses like going and buying a cup of coffee, that is going to trickle over into other more expensive things as well, and the net benefit is going to be so much more than just you going and buying a $4 cup of smash the like button frappuccino. Also, designer clothing. Don't see the point in going and spending $700 on like Gucci shoes.
Now, the one thing I would disagree with him on is, buying really cheap clothes. I'd rather say, look, that's okay for jeans and a t-shirt maybe, but every once in a while, buy a spectacular piece that's going to last you your lifetime. I like to buy great suits. I want to look good, but I don't waste money. All my suits are the same. I just have 25 of them. They last forever.
Okay, I'll admit, I know he has a good point about buying high quality clothing for the appropriate occasions. He's a suit and tie guy, and I agree that a good quality suit could easily last you over a decade, versus my $3 H&M shirt where the collar tends to curl a little bit after the first wash.
All right, you got it?
Oh, can you watch the whole thing?
Oh, there's more? It's Graham as a realtor? That's the same thing?
It's like a 10-minute video.
Got it.
I'm so glad they decided to keep that part in there. I mean, that would be hilarious if just that was the end of the video. It's just me, how much money I make, and then how I refuse to spend any of it on coffee and designer clothing. Well, I mean, actually, that's not too far off from the truth anyway. I guess that would actually be pretty accurate. The first property I bought was when I was 21 years old. It was a short sale for $59,500 in San Bernardino. It was a foreclosure that was being sold by the bank.
So he took advantage of dislocated market. 2007, 2008, some part of 2009, housing had been crushed. He took advantage of that. He bought it out of foreclosure from a bank. Obviously, it was a great trade. You can't do it all the time, but he was able to do it because he'd saved his money.
This is something I wholeheartedly agree with, and even though we don't have a lot of these types of real estate deals today, the only reason how I was able to do this in the first place is because I prioritized saving as much money as I could. Even now, I still keep the exact same savings habits as I've had back then, and I'm sure whenever the next big opportunity comes up, I'll have the money ready to redeploy back into those investments.
Nothing wrong with doing what you're great at. That's clearly what he's doing here. Graham is focused on real estate, bringing in about $15,000 a month. But here's what you should be doing while this is happening, because real estate is just one sector of the economy and goes through cycles too. If you're investing, diversify out of real estate, but it's very prudent sometimes to put something aside and just buy the overall market, an index or something, so you get diversification of your net worth.
All right, I think he wins, and I can't disagree with that. I think he's right. This is something I've slowly started to realize as I've begun making and investing a lot more money, is that after a certain point, it becomes less important to take a risk for a higher return and more important to maintain your investment and have stability, and this is something that I have learned over time. I think in the beginning, for anyone who's looking to grow their wealth as fast as possible, real estate is a phenomenal way to go. But once you've built that up, everything after that is about maintaining that growth and not necessarily trying to maximize it. And that one for me has been a big realization. So yes, I've already started taking his advice, and I've been diverting a lot of money lately back into index funds, and my entire investment strategy right now is just buy consistently and hold. That's it. So I started making more videos, and once I started doing about 2 videos a week, the growth really just exploded, it seemed like.
So he's really figured out how the algorithms work and how to produce content that people want to generally check in on every week. And when you have 1 million subs, you basically have a business. You're a broadcaster. That's what you're doing. So he really has figured that model out. Kid's a hustler.
For anyone who doesn't know this, if you couldn't already tell, I am obsessed with making YouTube videos. But also, the YouTube algorithm for me is like this never-ending game of chess. There is very much a strategy to try to figure out what people want to see, which topics people are going to click on, what thumbnail is going to get the most attention, how to title the video in such a way that piques people's curiosity to want to click on it. And then you got to figure out how to keep people entertained the entire time and how long you need to make the video. And all of this is constantly changing. changing. I found that now what works best on YouTube did not work 3 years ago when I started making videos, and the entire algorithm is constantly changing and adapting. So I dedicate hours every day trying to figure this out and how it works. And even though I'm far away from figuring out all the tricks, it's been an insanely fun challenge each and every day. So right now, probably like 85% of my income is affiliated with YouTube in some way or another, and then the remaining 15% is through real estate sales or real estate investments.
His monthly income is 150 grand. You know from before that he told you 15,000 of that came from his rental income. This kid is a YouTuber. He's making the majority of his income running a broadcasting facility. That's the way you should look at it. That's a big number for YouTube. You can only do that if you have 1 million plus subs, and he does. That's extraordinary.
So this is something I absolutely want to address because yes, at this point, I make the majority of my money through YouTube. This began to happen about 18 months ago where all of a sudden I started making more money on YouTube than I did from working as a real estate agent and owning rental properties. Before that point, I was spending about 80% of my time working in real estate, and then the remaining 20% of my time I spent making YouTube videos very late at night. But once the 20% of time I spent making YouTube videos began making more money than the $500,000 a year gross commissions I was making as a real estate agent where I spent 80% of my time, I decided to take the risk and flip those around and instead spend 80% of my time making YouTube videos and 20% of my time in real estate. And I gotta say, almost immediately once I did that, the channel took off. I was able to dedicate more time and focus towards making YouTube videos. I was able to go and start up the second channel. I was able to talk about more in-depth topics. I was able to feel a sense of purpose and fulfillment that was so much more than just myself, and that just happened to make more money as a byproduct. 18 months ago, I think it would have been short-sighted and irresponsible not to take the opportunity to spend 80% of my time on YouTube. But again, I would not have been able to take that jump had I not saved and invested the majority of my income prior to then. By the time I focused on YouTube, I was already in a position where the rental properties were covering all of my expenses. And I knew in the worst case scenario, if YouTube didn't pan out and I didn't earn a single dollar from anything ever again, I was gonna be okay. Total cost of the car with everything, all out the door with taxes and like all of the options, everything was like 44 grand. So I ended up making money from getting a car.
I actually don't think a car is that necessary anymore. Cars also have insurance costs to them. You have to store them. I'm not a big fan of owning anything anymore when it comes to transportation, but he's done it well, nothing wrong with that, and he enjoys driving it.
Now this is the part I found a bit confusing because I've seen Kevin's videos in the past, and it seems like anytime he goes somewhere, he's going and ordering an Uber Lux SUV, and those are not cheap. Those could be like $40 to $60 depending on where you're going. I think in certain cities where walking or public transportation isn't that good, I think a car is really just a necessity. So if you're gonna have to spend money in a car, you may as well do it in such a way that doesn't cost you a lot of money. And if you can't afford a Tesla or use the business tax write-offs, I highly recommend instead you go and buy a car that's 5 to 7 years old, that's already seen the bulk of its depreciation, and then just drive it until it stops running. So I have an amazing girlfriend, and her and I share a lot of the same values in terms of saving and spending money.
Always great to have a partner that shares your economic values. You really don't want somebody that spends their brains out. That's why he's so happy. She's a wonderful gal, it looks like, but she also is in sync with the way he spends money. Very smart.
Oh yeah, I'm sure she's gonna love that frame that they just paused us on. But yeah, I think financial compatibility is something that is so important, and it's vital to find someone who shares those same qualities. And he's right, that's why I'm so happy. Sounds weird too, but I do end up rewarding myself every now and then at McDonald's from the dollar menu.
Not a chance in hell I'd eat that. But look, the guy's in shape, so maybe indulging once in a while.
For some reason, McDonald's is just like this really good splurge. I even tried this thing on the dollar menu when you take the McChicken and the cheeseburger and then combine them into one. You gotta try this thing, it's really good. So in terms of net worth goals, I really don't have any. I would like to hit 10 million. I feel like that would be just a decent number.
10 million is a good number. You know, they say it's almost impossible to make the first million. He's already done that. 5 million is next to impossible. 10 million gets easier, actually. Once you have 5 million, you're investing in other things, and it helps you grow your net worth.
This is something I've noticed that's actually very true. It took me about 7 years of saving and investing to hit a $1 million net worth. From there, it only took me 18 more months after that to then hit a $2 million net worth. So I was able to do in 18 months what previously took me 7 years, which is absolutely incredible. After that, it only took a year to go from $2 million to $3 million. And 2 years later, I was able to nearly double that to $6 million. Now, sure, these last few years had a lot less to do with my investments and a lot more to do with a high surge of income. But still, it goes to show you that once you get the ball rolling, it becomes that much easier for your work and your investments to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. And from there, with persistence and consistency, the sky is the limit. You don't need to be as extreme as I am. You don't need to skimp on every purchase at all. You don't need to work 12 hours a day. But you do need to think outside the box.
Yes, you do. You have to do all of that stuff. Don't listen to him. Listen to me. Yeah, you got to skimp. Yeah, you got to work 15 hours a day. That's what it takes. It's very competitive out there.
I think it really just comes down to what you want. I would argue that not everyone is as extreme as I am, and not everyone thoroughly enjoys saving and investing money. I think there's no sense in being unhappy or feeling deprived just for the sake of saving more money. So if you want those things, just understand what you're giving up in return to obtain them.
Well, let me rate Graham on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being a horrible saver, and 10 being just brilliant. I'm going to give him an 8.234. He's got a little bit more to go in terms of diversification. He wasn't a 10 because he didn't diversify enough, but he's really good at staying focused on saving and making money.
I like that. 8.234, I'll take it. It is mentally hard for me to go and invest in something that I know won't give me as much profit as if I went to go and hunt out a real estate deal myself personally. But I also agree there's a benefit to safety, diversification, and stability. So I think it's good feedback, and I acknowledge that. And Kevin, if you're watching this, if you're interested in coming on the channel and doing a collaboration, I would be more than happy. I would love that. So I slid in your DMs. I sent you a DM on Instagram. So if you're interested, just let me know. And if you are, I could teach you how to obliterate and destroy the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you can't do that, then you're dead to me. I've always wanted to say that too. I'm just kidding. But yeah. So with that said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, if you guys enjoy videos like this, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Also, feel free to add me on Instagram. I post it pretty much daily. So if you want to be a part of it there, feel free to add me there. As on my second channel, The Stephan Show, I post there every single day. I'm not posting here. So if you want to see a brand new video from me every single day, make sure to add yourself to that. And lastly, if you guys want 2 free stocks, use the link down below in the description, and Webull is going to be giving you 2 free stocks when you sign up on their platform and deposit $100, with one of those stocks potentially being valued up to $1,400. So again, you want 2 free stocks, use that link down below in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.